oil today, just in it's an '04 Chevy Cavalier. Oil calls for a 5W30 and we got an oil filter for it. The oil filter location's right down there. I'll show you that when we get it pulled off, but just a simple little oil change today. Alright, so I'm looking at the engine here, and what we have going on, we actually ended up stripping off the old oil cap, so we went uptown, bought a new one, and double checked it is the right size, everything fits. To get that off, we ended up using a pliers to pull it off because the thread on this hex on top was stripped. Pulled off the air cleaner system here, but we got the cap off and we got our new one so that next time we won't have this problem again. Alright, so here's what the oil filter looks like. Just this little guy pops into the bottom there. I just throw it in the oil pan for safekeeping because that way it drips all over the place otherwise. Alright, so coming in from under the front side of the car here, engine being on the passenger side. On the back side of there's that bolt that kind of sticks out the back side. That's where your oil drain is. So when you take that bolt off, it's going to kind of squirt out back. So make sure you place your pan accordingly so that you don't spill all over. But there's not too much torque on it, just an easy one to come off. Alright, so this bolt here, size 15 metric. Once you get it unloosened or loosened up, do it by hand here. You're going to get a little bit of oil on yourself, but try not to drop the bolt into the pan. That's always sucks. Like I said, it squirts out just a little bit. Make sure you get your pan placed accordingly and then just let it sit there and drain until it stops dribbling out at the end. Okay, so I'm getting down to the point of where I just have a slow drip going on. It's not a dribble anymore, just slowly dripping, and I'm kind of impatient, so I'm going to put the bolt back on already. Call it good enough. Now for me coming off, this was a pretty tight bolt, but for putting it back on, you don't want to do it too tight, otherwise you're going to strip it out, and that's just a pain. So keep it, tight, but not too tight that you're going to strip the bolt off. Alright, so now that I got the oil drained and everything, I'm going to put the filter back in with my new cap here. And since I got this new O-ring here, what I did was I just dabbed right down into the filter tray there, grabbed a little bit of oil on the tip of my finger, and just wetted the O-ring all the way around. I also did the bottom. I don't think that's as necessary, but I did this O-ring here. Just helps make a better seal, and at the same time makes it easier so that the cap doesn't get stuck on for you. Alright, so the way this cap is designed, it's for an 1.25 inch socket with an extension. You can see here where on the design this is actually hollowed out here so that you can fit an extension in there specifically for the oil filter cover. Now, how tight do you put this? It says right there on the cap at 25 Newton meters. Well, how tight is 25 Newton meters? You can imagine grabbing a 1/2 inch wrench, how tight you would put a bolt when you're using that. So that's not very much torque at all on it. Okay, so I got my intake put back on here, and we ended up taking this off because we had stripped off the hex head there. But if you have the socket that's fit correctly for that cap, you shouldn't have to take this intake off, which is quite an inconvenience just to be able to get down into there if you don't have the socket there. This 2.2 liter, this Ecotec engine takes 4.5 quarts of oil. So you buy it by the 5-quart jug to save money, and then you just end up with a 1/2 quart left over. If you have a couple of those, you can, when you change the oil in your lawnmower, just mix those all up and throw it in your lawnmower. Alright, so now that we got it all of our 4.5 quarts put in, you're going to check the dipstick, see where we're at. We waited a little bit so the oil could creep down into the pan. Clean it off, put the dipstick back in, just to make sure. And you see right there, we are just between the add and the full mark, so right in the middle. So maybe we're just a little bit on the low side. Once we start up the engine, the oil is going to work its way back into the filter. In our situation, what's going to happen is probably next time we fill up with fuel, just check the oil then, and if it is low or on the add mark, throw a quart in then.